My name is Nosisa. I'm one of the trainers from It Starts With Me. I was doing the ESP program with young women in Cliffontein Road, yes. Okay. I believe that the young women were equipped, with the confidence as to how they must be able to handle themselves in the corporate world. But the program was more about personal development, and that helped them a lot because we were talking about the things that they're really facing, out there in the communities, in their houses, the challenges that they're facing as young women in their relationships and stuff. And I believe that it's something that has never been given to them before, and they found a voice through the program to state exactly what their needs are and what their challenges are without being, without having a fear of being judged, because we made sure that the program was done in the in an environment where they feel safe, and they could be able to trust the people that were facilitating and also each other among the group. Oh, challenges. There were lots of challenges. There were a lot of challenges in terms of the transportation. I believe that when they were being recruited for this program, there were a lot of expectations that were created, and most of the expectations that were created were never met. So in terms of transportation, they were offered stipend or transport allowance, and none of them got the transport allowance. And later they were offered a transport to pick them up and drop them in the afternoons. But the challenge was it's either the driver is going to be late to pick the young ladies, or the young ladies will arrive maybe at the picking station when the driver is already gone. And what made it more challenging was the fact that the driver was not only picking up one group. The driver had to pick up more than 4 groups, in the morning, and there were stations to be picked up at the same time, of which that was quite impossible. And in the afternoons, when the driver is supposed to pick them up at the venue, it's either the driver is going to be late, or the driver is going to be early before the session, before the end of the session. And that was quite challenging because some of the ladies now had to stay longer, and some of these ladies are already parents. I mean, when they stay longer than they're supposed to, who's at home looking after their kids, and yeah. The second challenge was the communication. I think communication was not clear enough with the ladies, because when they were voicing out their expectations, nobody came to them to kind of clarify what was happening at that moment. And there was also not clear communication between the partners that were involved in this project. So some of us were just doing the personal development. We were not involved at the beginning of the program, so at the project. So we didn't know what some of the things that were said, and we couldn't give the answers to the ladies. And also, I think the way that we were talking, I mean, as facilitators, to the participants, I've noticed that there was no respect at all. I mean, if you want people to respect you, I think the first thing that you should do is to respect the people. Some of the facilitators that were running other programs, of which I cannot mention names, but I found it very offensive. I mean, the way they were talking to the participants, I found it very offensive and very disrespectful. Yeah. And the third challenge, I think it was food. I mean, when we invite young people or any other people to the program, the first thing that we shouldn't do is to promise them, food. because I think the aim of the program was not to give them food. I think it was to equip them to be able to stand up on their own. But they really created this food thing, and when they were served with this food, the food was really not appetizing. I mean, and those are the complaints that the participants were bringing to us as facilitators, and we couldn't do anything about it because we're not part of the catering thing. But also looking at the food, I believe that when you cook food, you should cook food with love. And if you don't love, if there's no love in the food, then the people can really see that really this food was just made for the sake of making it. There was no effort that was put into the food, but the food was really not good. And as much as we could not entertain the food thing because we're not there for food, but it was not nice to see that kind of food being served to the people. It's not like they don't have food in their houses that they can eat, but at least serving them with decent food would have been nice. And the other challenge was, I think, the time. We're given a program that we know that we do it over 5 weeks, and we had to do this program over 3 days, of which it was something not good, because these young women were really eager to learn, and they were really showing interest in the program, and we couldn't cover all the things that we wanted to cover or should have covered because of the time limitation that we have. There were a lot of things that they wanted to share, and because of the time constraints they could not share, and that does not serve us good as the trainers, also not serve the participants good, because this is like a bottle of like a drain that has been packed with all this dirty stuff, and now it wants to come out. And if you don't give them that enough time to open up and share what they want to share, you kind of, I think, killing the people, because they've never given that opportunity before, and now for the first time they're giving this opportunity to share. To talk about things that they're facing, and all of a sudden you must kind of cut them because we don't have time. So it has been a struggle for us as facilitators to facilitate a program that is supposed to be facilitated over 5 weeks, to facilitate it over 3 days, because we had 4 topics to cover, but now we had to kind of summarize everything, and of which it's not good. It's like we're not doing like justice to the program and justice to the people.